Hello. Today, I want to talk to you about action and non action verbs, and specifically some of those non action verbs that have two meanings, an action meaning and a non action meaning. If you want a worksheet that you can complete to practice note taking while you watch this video, click on the link in the description, which so you can download the worksheet, print it, and then practice your note taking while you're watching the video. Let's get started. Let's start by talking about the difference between action and non-action verbs. Action verbs are verbs that you can act. For example, run, jump, eat. I can do all of those things. But if I get a verb like know or understand or like, those verbs are non-action verbs. I can't really do those things. It's more things that are in my head or my condition or my state. So non-action verbs don't really describe an action. Maybe they describe an opinion or your state. Take a look at this video. What actions do you see in this video? Or what are the kids doing? Here's some verbs that I see in the video. The students are listening to the teacher. The students are raising their hands. Those are actions that we can do. And then the last one, the students are knowing the answer. Knowing the answer. Does that sound right? Or would it sound better to say the students know the answer? Yeah, know the answer sounds a lot better because know is not an action verb, it's a non action verb. And non action verbs we don't usually put in progressive verb tenses. So, there, my first two verbs are listening, are raising their hands. Those are actions and they're in present progressive. But when we want to talk about know, we usually just use present simple or past simple for that verb. Now let's move on and talk about verbs that have both an action and a non-action meaning. The first one we'll talk about is think. For example, what's 37 plus 48? My brain, there's wheels turning in my brain, and you got 7 and the 6 and the okay, and then I come up with an answer. So that was me thinking about the math problem. What about my second sentence here? I'm thinking that the math problem is easy. That one sounds a little bit funny. It would sound better to say, I think the math problem is easy, because in that situation, it's not about my brain doing some work when I say, I think that the math problem is easy. That's just my opinion about math. So how do you know with the verb think if it's the action or the non-action meaning? Well, there's one thing that can help you, and that's the preposition about. If it's think about, that's the action meaning. That's like your brain is doing work. And if it's think that, like I think that the math problem is easy, then that's a non-action. That's your opinion about something. But be careful. Sometimes that we don't include in a sentence. For example, I could say, I think that the math problem is easy, or I think the math problem is easy. And sometimes we don't say that. Some common verbs that have both action and non-action meaning are the ones about our sense perception, how we kind of feel the world. For example, in this situation, I can see the chef is tasting the soup. That's an action. Needs more salt. The second sentence here, the soup tastes great. In that situation, you can see tastes, and you say, what's the subject? The soup. Is the soup doing the action of tasting? No, it's the chef. So in the situations where we use these verbs that are sense perception, if the subject is not doing the action of the verb, then it's a non-action verb. and we shouldn't use it in progressive. But if the subject is doing the action of the verb, like the chef is tasting the soup, then in those cases, it could be progressive or a simple verb tense. Another example of a sense perception is with smell. The girl is smelling the food, or the food smells bad. In the first sentence, the girl is doing this action. So that's an action meaning for smell. So that could be progressive or simple. But in the second one, the food smells bad. That's someone's opinion about the food. It's not really an action that's happening. And also, we look at the food in the subject position. That's not doing the action of the verb. So that is a non action meaning there. So we would not use a progressive verb tense for that second sentence. Another example of a verb that has both action and non action meaning is the verb have. When have means ownership, like I have a car, or even like I own an illness, I have the flu or I have the measles, those are non action meanings because it's not really describing an action, it's just I possess this thing. However, there are certain expressions with have where we could use it in progressive or simple. Like I am having a party right now. That would be like an action meaning, or I'm having a good time, I'm having a bad time. Those would be two expressions where the verb have could be progressive or simple. The verb look is another verb that has two meanings. So if it's like your eyes are doing action, like the woman is looking in the mirror or the woman looks in the mirror, that's an action that the woman is doing. However, if it's she looks good, that look there is not really an action, it's like an opinion about her. So in that situation, she looks good. That would be a non action meaning for look. So we would not use that in the progressive usually. But sometimes we do see she is looking good. So it is possible, but usually not in the progressive for the non action meaning of the verb look. So today we've talked about some verbs that have both an action and a non-action meaning. And I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about when you can use present or progressive verb tenses and when you can't use progressive verb tenses. I hope this helped you understand. Uh, Please check out the playlist about action and non-action verbs. It's a great playlist. Also, check out my book on Amazon. You can click a link in the description for this video to take you to my grammar book. It has a lot of exercises and also a great answer key, so that where you can play a game with the answer key. And it also has QR codes for all my videos, and you can practice taking notes in the textbook while you watch the videos. Hope you have a great day today.